The Gang of Eight are going to be asking to see this information from the national intelligence side and to assess it. Those are, the leaders in the two houses. And you would think they normally have a right to it, and yet it's so politically charged, you might also think it's not trustworthy. How will that play out?
I'm scared to death of that happening because I do not trust Mike Turner, who's the ranking Republican on the House Intelligence Committee. I do not trust in any way Marco Rubio, who is the ranking on the Senate Intelligence Committee. And I do not trust, even more do I have distrust for Kevin McCarthy. Their willingness to leak things in this case for their own purposes leaves me uneasy. And add a couple of other points before David. One, Mick Mulvaney, the chief of staff before Mark Meadows, and CBS News is covered with shame for paying him a ton of money to be a commentator, just a little while ago did a tweet saying, now we've learned, it's only documents. It's outrageous that they do a search because it only involved documents. Well, the Rosenbergs only involved documents, and Aldrich Ames only involved documents. I mean, it's
documents
reaching,
kill. These
it's reaching for a level that is just. I mean, he had to even cringe. He's not a dumb guy at even saying that. At the same time, we should point out that this gives added traction to Georgia and New York. The more that Trump is undermined...
The investigations there, you mean?
The investigations there, because the more that Trump is undermined as somebody who had no concern for the safety and security of the United States. Now we've also learned that Truth Social, his media site, is stiffing all of its contractors, which fits with, of course, the longtime pattern of Donald Trump. Who would have guessed, David, that Devin Nunes would be involved in a scheme of that sort? And I think we're going to see that the willingness to move forward against him as he becomes weakened more will be greater. At the same time, I expect we'll see the Mitch McConnells and others who are now looking at a real problem in November. And that problem could be worsened deeply by, one, demoralization among some Republicans, two, the possibility that as some of them get distance from Trump, the Trumpist faction is going to go after them, leading to a kind of internal civil war, that it's going to be a problem for them. I expect the Mitch McConnells and others are going to do what they can to get a little distance here, because what they care about is not Donald Trump's skin. It's winning a majority in the Senate and for many others in the House in November.
Yeah, Harry, I would add two things. Look, put yourself in the minds of Republicans, which I know is hard to do, but you get free points for bashing Merrick Garland and the Biden administration. And so what you saw from Mick Mulvaney is essentially what you're going to see iterations of among Republicans. Some will continue to defend Donald Trump and say, oh, it was no big deal, or it was an accident, or he did nothing untoward with him. But even those who say, okay, perhaps he shouldn't have had them, they will immediately pivot to, yes, but the Biden administration and Garland were too heavy-handed. That's simply what they're going to do because, again, for their base, the more they hit on Biden and Garland, the higher their numbers go up. Here's the interesting thing. You said, what does Trump do from here on? And I think there's a very intriguing storyline to the last couple of weeks on this. And that storyline is this. Prior to the Mar-a-Lago search, Donald Trump was starting to see a crowded Republican primary field should Donald Trump enter 2024. I think we had gotten to the point where a Ron DeSantis candidacy was inevitable, even if Donald Trump ran. Now, Donald Trump would still be the front runner, but there was now enough room within the Republican primary to consider other candidates, not that were crossing Donald Trump, but they were hugging him tightly, saying, I love Trumpism, and I'm going to run because I think I can represent Trumpism. But hey, if the big guy wins the nomination, I'm going to support him. That's where we were 3 weeks ago. What the Mar-a-Lago event did is it gave Donald Trump himself this catalyzing moment where if he had wanted to, he could have said to the entire Republican Party, now's the time. You're either with me or you're with the deep state. And I'm going to run in 24, and I want your loyalty card right now. And he didn't do that. And this is the intrigue. Why not? Why not? Now, there's the practical consideration that apparently, on good authority, if he were to announce he's running, then the RNC has to stop paying his legal bills. Perhaps it's strictly a financial reason. But I'm actually curious if Donald Trump did not seize this moment politically because he knows there's more coming. And he's actually unprepared to make an announcement and then have to absorb the body blows of what else is coming. That, to me, is incredibly intriguing. Why did Donald Trump not seize this moment politically? I don't know that we know the answer to that yet.
It seems
That's a
awfully apparent, though,
phenomenal
David.
point.